Allora, Dautel, eccolo qua.
How's it going? You can hear
Hello.
me?
Yes, very well.
That is awesome.
Now, okay. So, everything okay? How are you?
Now you
You
need to
have
talk, or I
time?
need to talk. All good? Can see me?
Yes. Yes, I
Awesome.
can
How you
see
doing? How
and
is
I
Italy
can.
doing?
Italy situation is not. It's quite complicated, as you know. What about
Mm.
Germany?
Yeah, it's maybe not as complicated, but also not beautiful. So, but they are starting to open some things slowly. And yes, and well, I'm anyway in the vineyard, so nobody. Yeah, so in this case, I don't have any problems. In the vineyard, you can easily plant new vineyards without having any problems. Sun is shining, all good.
Okay. So also because you are alone in Italy, everything is closed since the beginning of March.
Okay. Yeah, so it was everything was not closed here as well, but now it opens a little bit, step by step.
Okay, we can wait just a few minutes, a few moments if somebody else join us, because
Sure,
usually we wait 3 4 minutes, and
let's do that.
yes,
So actually, I think I gonna because it's just for the meanwhile, I gonna open some nice. You probably know this one.
yes, I know, and I need other bottles. I need to place an order in May,
You're very welcome.
and we open this
Okay.
one, Merlot
Okay,
2014.
awesome. Okay, awesome, awesome. I haven't tasted the 14 vintage for ages, so that must be great as well. But also the 2016 vintage from the Steinkrüge, I haven't tasted for a long time. That's why I thought this will be an amazing opportunity to see what's going on and taste it.
Okay, I'm just saying hello to everybody.
Mhm.
Eccoti qua. Oh, guarda chi c'è.
Allo?
Hey, ciao! Come stai?
Ciao. Bene, grazie.
Awesome. I love it. Is the connection good?
Yes, should be enough good. I cannot I
Oh,
cannot
Marco
read.
Postal, my Italian intern, he's watching as well. Hi, Marco. Hope you're fine.
So we can start, I suppose.
Mhm.
So if you
Okay.
wanted to introduce yourself, we can start.
Okay. So let's say, so I should say something about myself. Okay, my name is Christian Dautel. Thanks for the invitation. I'm the winemaker, the owner of the small family-run estate called Weingut Dautel. So this is the name of the winery. It's located in South Germany in the wine region called Württemberg. So it's close to Stuttgart. Stuttgart, how do you say in Italy?
Toccata.
Hey, Stoccata, exactly, Stoccata. Okay, and so small family-run business. So we've got 15 hectares, around about 50% white wine, 50% red wine. It's actually Riesling and Weißburgunder, which is Pinot Bianco, which is the most important white wines, and for the reds, it's Lemberger, which is very important in our region and also called Blaufränkisch or Keck Frankosch. I think there's also a small amount of that variety in Italy planted. There it's called Franconia, so far as I know. Yeah. And then there's Spätburgunder, of course, which is Pinot Noir, which is also very important for us. So these are the four main varieties in our state. Yeah, and what else can I say? Bought myself. I grown up in the family-run business, but then I took over the estate in 2010. I came back to Germany. Before that, I was studying in Bordeaux and in Geisenheim, which is in Germany, winemaking and viticulture, and doing many internships in Australia, South Africa, Austria, United States, and in Burgundy also, so which was very interesting. Unfortunately, I never worked in Italy, which is the reason because I can't speak Italian. I'm very sorry for that. And yeah, so what else can I say? I need to drink something now. You should say something, otherwise it's just a monologue.
Ok, right, ok, salute.
Cheers. Salute.
Speak.
Me.
Mhm.
Okay, but there is no need that he understands what I say, so I can even speak in Italian to our audience. No, la cosa molto carina di Christian, lo dico in segreto, lo dico in italiano così Christian non capisce, è che io gli scrivo i messaggi in un tedesco che invento completamente, tipo scrivo come in inglese ma finisce per N e lui capisce, è secondo me un genio solo per questo. La cosa interessante che spero abbiate colto è che ha detto che la maggior parte dei vitigni della sua zona, dei vitigni coltivati nella sua zona sono a bacca nera, cioè lui è un produttore di una zona della Germania che è calda. Oddio, non è calda, non pensate al sud del Rodano, non pensate alla Puglia, ma non pensate neanche alla Mosella o allo Champagne, non è che siccome è in Germania allora fa freddo. Everything clear, I guess.
Sure.
Loro
I
sono...
agree.
I was sure you would. Loro sono in una zona che, come ha detto, è nell'area di Stoccarda e sta più o meno di fronte all'Alsazia, per cui ha un clima moderato e le estati sono molto calde. Quando siamo andati a trovarlo, lui non capiva bene come una coppia di italiani potesse scegliere di trascorrere le vacanze di agosto in Germania.
Già, che bei ricordi. Se qualcuno ha domande può lasciarle sotto in italiano, inglese o tedesco. No, solo saluti.
Io sono un bel ragazzo, fa questo effetto.
Parla del vino.
No, parla tu del vino. Now we taste the wine.
Okay.
We are tasting Merlot.
Okay, awesome.
Merlot 2014.
Okay, 2014 Merlot.
2014. I think that.
Great.
Can you tell us something about it? About
Sure.
your Merlot?
Yeah, so actually well, obviously, sure, Merlot is not the most historically grown variety in Germany, that's for sure. But to be fair, maybe I go a little bit back and tell something about the history, and then I come back to the variety Merlot.
Thank you.
And but the thing is that actually, when my grandfather was the founding member of the cooperative, which is like our wine region is there are many cooperatives. And so when my father came back from his studies, he studies in Geisenheim like I did later. The first thing he was doing is getting out of the cooperative and doing his own wine business, which was, you can imagine, your child is coming back from university and the first thing what he's doing is saying that everything you did is wrong and I make everything different. So you can imagine my grandfather being the founding member, he was very happy about that. But indeed, the main reason was because my father had many new ideas and he wanted to do things different. And that's why we already started from the beginning on, already from the 70s, only dry wines. We never made any sweet wines, which was actually more usual at that time, quite often in Germany. And only mash fermentation, so classic red, how you should make red wine, so no thermovinification or stupid things like this. And also, of course, blending new varieties, like, for example, Chardonnay, you also have here in the portfolio. So we did this already in the 80s. At that time, this was not allowed by the government. So we had to get a special research permission to be allowed to be able to plant Chardonnay. On the other hand, it was the same situation with aging in oak barrels, because we already started aging these wines in the 80s, like you do now everywhere. But at that time, this was also not allowed, so we had to sell these wines as a table wine. A little bit like the Vino Tavola in Italy with Sassicaia and things like this. A
Yes.
little bit the same
Correct.
situation. Also the same time, more or less. So 80s. And yeah, so in this case, he was kind of a pioneer in his ways. And well, of course, he didn't invent anything. He just yeah, like when I was a child, there was only Italy and France where we went to holidays, and we went from one wine region to the other, and this is where we, yeah, obviously, like, well, actually, to be fair, when I was a kid, I didn't appreciate it very much. I thought like I wanted to do something else than hang around on wineries all the time. But now it's quite nice to see where you've already been. So nowadays, I would like to go there back. But anyway. So, and then obviously we also have been one time in France in holiday. This is where he, of course, the question was Bordeaux, Bordeaux, the great thing. And this is why my father started to get really interested in red wine blends. And so at the end of the 80s, we already started making our premium wine, Création Rot, which is actually a blend of Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Lemberger. Okay, and this is the reason why we planted originally Merlot and Cabernet Sauvignon. That was planted already at the beginning of the 90s. So in this case, it was the same situation then with the Chardonnay. So we had to do also have to get a special research permission to be allowed to plant these varieties. And yeah, and finally we had Merlot, and finally we had Cabernet Sauvignon, and then it depended on the vintage. If we in some years we made like a single vineyard release of the Merlot, and so I think the first one we did was in 2007, and I think then 2009, and so it's actually not the Merlot you have in the glass. It's definitely something we're not producing every year. So and only if it's like really nice and beautiful. And I think the 14 vintage is so generally it's maybe to say something about the vineyard. It's quite calcareous soils, so it's like gypsum soils. And again, like the wines, they were planted at the beginning of the 90s. So they have some age, not too old, but around 30 years. And they are aged for 1 year in 300-liter oak barrels, and afterwards again in big oak barrels for again 6 months. And classic mash fermentation. And I think the 14 vintage at the beginning, people were a little bit afraid about it because it was a little bit cooler, a little bit more difficult vintage. But finally, for me personal, it's one of my favorite vintages at the moment. Like if you also the Lemberger and the Pinot Noir of 2014, it's really nice. But to be fair, I really haven't tasted the Merlot for a long time, so I should look in the treasure room and see if I can find some. Yeah.
We tasted we opened the bottle about 20 minutes ago, and the wine is very fresh.
Very fresh.
And it's very fruity. It's black fruit, red fruit, and with a bit of orange peel.
Okay, interesting. Actually, I think this is something really typical for the 2000 vintage for our wines. Like I think also the Forsberg, the Pinot Noir, and the Lemberger, they are also very fruit driven, so very very intense. I really should have opened the Merlot.
No, and it's there is this distinctive smoky fume character of the area, which you find in Pinot Noir too, and but it's so subtle and so in balance, and it also has an herbal component. It's still fresh. It's still vivid. Yes, it's herbal. It's aromatic. I wouldn't say it's minty as minty as a New World Cabernet. It's more subtle. It's more elegant. It's more aromatic than balsamic. It's more like thyme rather than mint.
Macchia mediterranea.
Sì.
Okay, I think I need to get a bottle. I think it's probably also much more spicy, I would say, isn't it? Usually there's
It is
also
spicy.
much pepper and spiciness in it.
It's spicy, the acidity is high, but the
Okay.
acidity and tannin are very balanced, are still present, but are very elegant.
Okay, I've got an idea. We make one thing. I make a picture here so everybody knows that we are online, and you can continue talking a little bit, and I will go to the and get a bottle of the Merlot because okay. So I'm here. Nobody can. All good, and you can talk now. See you in a sec.
Ok, capisci perché lo amo? I already did the tasting, so I have nothing to say.
Puoi parlare in italiano?
Ma ci sono un sacco di persone che secondo me non parlano la mia lingua, which doesn't mean that I'm speaking their one, but so Christian just is coming. I swear he is coming. We were talking about his 2014 Merlot. And we were describing the sensation of this wine, which is still very lively and pretty fruity driven, but in balance with the spices coming from the oak aging and this typical smoky character of wines of Baden. And is this eco-me? Yoo-hoo! Oh, I can sing a yodel, and you can hear my voice coming back from the phone. It must be very, very unpleasant for those who are listening. Any question you might want us to answer? Nothing to know? Anything you want to know? He has a girlfriend. Yes, he has a girlfriend, and she's very, very nice. I met her. Beautiful and nice and everything, yes. Unfortunately. It happens. Oh, sei qui?
Già. Abbiamo perso la connessione?
No, noi ci siamo.
C'è solo l'eco. Lo vedo un po' statico. Sto giovanotto. Quindi Merlot selezione rientra nella parte alta del catalogo. Infatti c'è, non so se si vedrà le etichette.
Sì.
Si vede la S di selezione. Perché tutti i vini sono divisi.
Sorry, you are right. Dautel is in Württemberg, not in Baden. Because
No,
to me,
never.
it's a huge land, Baden-Württemberg, so I say Baden, but I know it's wrong. It's Württemberg.
Yeah, it's
Hallo,
not. It's not Baden.
So no, you're right, because and it's a similar thing in Trieste, because we are not in Friuli. The region is called Friuli Venezia Giulia, but people in Trieste cares a lot about saying we are not in Friuli, we are in Venezia Giulia. So we understand how diatopic differences are important.
That was underground, Uwe.
Okay, so I found it. Unfortunately, it was at the very, very, very lowest box, so I had to put 4 boxes away, and
it's always the last box in the cellar.
yeah, of course. Everything else would be, yeah. The only thing is that this is a little bit chilly now, but that won't be a problem. It will heat up automatically. I'm looking, yeah, because seriously, I think I haven't tasted this wine like for years, definitely. So I'm excited. Yeah, well, I mean, there are many wines in the winery, you know. Okay.
I guess you have.
Yeah, but it will be interesting because 14, it's Okay, interesting. Needs air, needs to open.
Qualche domanda nel mentre? No? Domande, curiosità? Tutti timidi.
Vuoi riepilogare in italiano per quelli che vedranno la registrazione, quello che ha detto lui prima? A proposito del perché lui ha... Non ascoltavi. Prima Christian ha spiegato come mai la sua cantina produce anche Merlot e Chardonnay, che non sono le varietà più diffuse nella sua regione, e raccontava di come suo papà, che era stato uno dei fondatori della cooperativa della zona, l'avesse poi abbandonata per mettersi a produrre quello che voleva lui, e quindi negli anni 70-80 scusate, stavo leggendo, negli anni 70-80 lui ha lasciato la cooperativa che lui stesso aveva contribuito a fondare per lavorare come voleva lui, per avere libertà di produzione, ma i disciplinari di produzione all'epoca non consentivano di produrre, di piantare e produrre varietà internazionali, per cui ha dovuto farsi fare una sorta di permesso speciale anche solo per piantare Merlot e Chardonnay, e il vino che aveva prodotto all'epoca usciva come vino da tavola, come l'equivalente tedesco del vino da tavola, un po' come succedeva negli stessi anni da noi in Toscana, che venivano fuori Super Tuscan, ma non c'era una categoria, cioè non rispettando il disciplinare, dovevano essere in qualche modo declassati a vino da tavola, sebbene la qualità fosse molto alta.
C'è una domanda. We have a question. It's in English.
I see. It's about Pinot Blanc. I just don't want it to interrupt. So which Weißburgunder have you tasted? So actually we have altogether exactly 3 ones. So there's the estate quality, this one. The estate quality, it's always with the white capsule. So that estate quality means that all the grapes are grown on their own property. So which is actually 100% for all our wines. So we're not buying any grapes, we're not buying any juice or something like this. So everything is estate quality. And then it's more or less the same system like in Burgundy or international wise. The smaller the origin, the higher the quality. And so the next step in this case would then be the Weißburgunder Ortswein. So there's a village labeled on it, which is Bönnigheim. And so in this case, it looks like this with the black capsule, but it would not be Lemberg, it would be Pinot Blanc. But this is then the higher quality. And then there's our premium one with the golden capsule. So I'm not sure which one you have tasted. Maybe you know.
I don't
È
know.
Ennio.
È Regno?
Sì, che se ti ricordi il colore della capsula, se non hai ancora buttato la bottiglia,
Bianca.
ma probabilmente era la bianca, vero?
But anyway, I mean, generally to talk a little bit about the Weißburgunder. For us, it's really interesting because in former days, we got forced to plant Pinot Blanc, Weißburgunder, because my father fell in love with Chardonnay.
Mhm.
So my father wanted to plant Chardonnay, and this was not allowed, I mentioned before. So we had to get a research permission and plant right next to it the Pinot Blanc to have a research, compare the local variety Pinot Blanc with the international French one called Chardonnay. And so from there on, we still have this comparison. But this is also the reason why we fall in love with Pinot Blanc. And then in the last 30 years, 34, actually 35 years, the Pinot Blanc really increased. So nowadays for us, Pinot Blanc is right next to Riesling, the most important white wine we do. So we are at the moment, actually, we are very focused on Pinot Blanc. And for me personal, I think it's very interesting because on the one hand, it's a little bit less acidic than Riesling. It's more round, more full-bodied. but on the other hand, it's more elegant for me personal than Pinot Grigio can. Usually, Pinot Grigio can be often very rich and very full-bodied. And I think often the Pinot Blanc is always a little bit more elegant, a little bit more fruit. And this is the reason why we love it so much. And this is for me also the reason why I would say that there's no other variety that is so flexible for fruit pairing than Pinot Blanc. So if you have no idea what wine you want to open, usually with Pinot Blanc that you can really nearly eat to everything, I would say. Like it's very flexible, I think.
Interessante da sapere. And your best pairing with Pinot Blanc?
Excuse me?
Your best food match with Pinot Blanc?
You can eat everything. What?
Pizza.
Pizza. Pizza, sure. Well,
No, because I have a theory that pizza matches everything because it basically doesn't match anything. So you can do it too. It's I don't know. It's like wearing stripes. It's you can't be elegant wearing stripes. So just wear stripes and be happy. What you want.
well. Yeah, but now my Merlot he really opens nice. It was a little bit close because it was from the cold cellar.
Mm-hmm.
But the fruit is really very fresh and very straight, as you mentioned. You're completely right. Very nice. You did a good job.
Thank you. I expected you to say so.
I thought so. Yeah, sure. I mean, I actually have a list about things I want to say, and this was very, very much on the top and 3 times underlined with. Awesome.
Interesting. How you propagate vines?
Mm-hmm. The underground Uwe is asking. Well, the thing is, the question is, I think it's in German. So the question is if we're working with Sélection Marsal or if we work with clones or what are we doing? Actually, what the fuck are we doing? The thing is that actually at the moment it's really interesting because I was just planning this morning some vineyards and we will continue this for the next 2 days. So this is about digging many holes in the ground. It's very awesome work. And but actually since the beginning of the 90s, we are usually only work with Marsal selections. So my father started that. So that means that also for the Lemberger, we have a certain amount. Well, of course, there are also many older vineyards we already have for a longer time, or you get them from somewhere else and you actually don't know what it is, but it's nice fruit and you're happy, but you don't, they can't tell you what their grandfather has planted some years ago. But generally, we're not a big fan of clones, and that's why we try to work always with Marsal selections. Yeah. Internet connection is going down.
Yeah, you are fading away.
Your side, I suppose.
But so what else can we? If we don't have further questions.
No, I don't think so. No question. We have just to finish the Merlot.
But he just went to take the bottle. His Merlot just opened. It's a pity to let him go. Let's keep him here somehow. Or his picture at least.
The color of the Weißburgunder was white. So in this case, it is our estate quality. So the estate quality of the Pinot Blanc is always the. So in this case, we keep it very straight. So this is 100% stainless steel. So in this case, the estate quality we always want to have very straightforward, very, very, very fresh, and more on the elegant and the refreshing side. like the estate quality. If you're then going to the Ortswein, there's a small amount of the Pinot Blanc, which is fermented in bigger oak barrels. In this case, it's not the question of getting oak flavors in the wine. It's definitely more a question about having a bigger lees contact, you know, because in smaller barrels you have a bigger lees contact, and so the wine can profit. And if we talk about white Burgundies, I mean, I think if you talk about wine generally, yeast contact, it's always a very important theme. But if you're talking about white Burgundy varieties, it's definitely even more important. Ah, hello, Francis and Eberhard Klein. Okay, interesting. So now we have to speak Schwäbisch. No, we won't.
We will understand everything then.
Sure.
Chiedi.
Please.
What about the fermentation temperature for Merlot and for Pinot Blanc?
For Merlot and Pinot Blanc. Well, the thing is that generally, I'm not a big fan of cool fermentation, because I don't want to make any candy cake wines or things like this. So that's why usually we ferment the whites in the temperature range between maybe, let's say, 70 degrees up to 24, depending if they are fermenting in oak barrels. So quite warm, because actually, as I mentioned before, we're not looking for primary fruit or things like this. So it's even the estate quality. We want to have wines which have a nice aging potential, and that's why we're not looking for primary fruit. For the Merlot, for the reds, generally, we usually always go up to 30. So at the beginning, there's a cooler fermentation time, because usually we only work with natural fermentation. So in this case, it really takes time until it really starts. So in this case, you have something kind of a cold soak, natural cold soak, because it just takes time. And then after 3-4 days, it's also a good thing if it starts. So you need to take care that it starts not too late. And then the temperature slowly goes up and up, and finally the really strong fermentation, you're around about 30 degrees. And I don't want to go much higher. So 31 is fine, 32, it depends. It also depends, because we only do traditional mash fermentation. And if you talk about temperature and mash fermentation, it's a funny thing, because it always depends where you measure, you know? Like it's really unhomogeneous.
Yeah.
So if you have if you have like a white wine in the barrels, sure, it's everywhere the same temperature more or less. But as soon as you put grapes in it, it starts getting really different. So sometimes it
makes sense.
It could be that outside or at the border it's really cool, and inside it's really heating, or the bottom and the top it's really different. So So sometimes but there's some fan facts. Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting. There was a question about lees steering in Weissburgunder. I guess it's in German, but I think that it means if Pinot Blanc that is matured in oak, also if the lees are steered or just left there. Deposited.
It's
Okay, well,
It's bekommt der Weissburgunder aus dem Holzbatonnage. The question is this one. So.
Okay. So the thing is that it also depends on which Weissburgunder we're talking about. So Weissburgunder estate, as I mentioned before, it's in stainless steel. So in this case, there's no batonnage at all. Weissburgunder Ortswein, there's about 30% that is fermented in 300-liter oak barrels. But usually we don't. But generally spoken, if we talk about Pinot Blanc, you do not the strongest acidity on earth, which is a good thing. But on the other hand, you even more if you age Pinot Blanc in the oak barrels, you really need to make sure that you're not losing the elegance. So if you have ripe Pinot Blanc in oak barrels, and then you would stir it up constantly, you get a monster, and finally it tastes like Pinot Gris. And we don't want to have, so you're losing the elegance and the fruit and the finesse of Pinot Blanc. That's why we usually do as less batonnage as possible. So means that on the one hand, if you think about the last vintages, they all have been very, very warm. So in this case, there was never a need of giving the wine more body because you have a very, very cool, straight vintage. I'm not sure if this will happen soon again, that you're going to get a very cool vintage. So that's why, from this perspective, you don't need to make batonnage because the wine, they're always big enough. And on the other hand, for me, it's just because we do natural fermentation and so no cultured yeast. And also for the malolactic fermentation, we are not adding any bacteria. And in this case, the time until both fermentations are finished, it can take long time. So even now, there are many Pinot Blanc in barrels which have not yet finished all the fermentations. And because of that, it is possible that sometimes you make a very, very sensitive, small batonnage just to get a little bit yeast up and have kind of oxygen protection. But it's not to get boobs in the wine. It's just about protecting.
Okay.
About batonnage.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
Welcome.
I'm checking if there is other question. But...
No,
Sure.
everybody is saying hello. And Uwe, don't be shy. If you have another question, feel free to place it because nobody's asking anything. So you can
They're all afraid.
you can learn everything you want,
I guess again,
except his telephone number.
He probably does have. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly. Yeah, but actually, I will go now back to the Steingrube, the 2016. So Merlot was fine. It's nice. It's great, but it needs some time. And I'm really looking forward to get some Riesling now. I love Riesling, and
Me
this
too.
is very, very good stuff. Yeah, the 16, it's great. It's really great. So maybe some words about the different soils of Württemberg. And I think anyway that you definitely should all know, but actually most of the people which are probably listen, they know Württemberg anyway, very good. But the beautiful thing about Württemberg generally is that we have many different soils, all right? And so they are always one layer on each other. So it's more or less a little bit like a chocolate cake, okay? So if you're going to the lowest vineyard, you're at, from our estate, you're actually at the Besigheim Womberg, which is like a very beautiful vineyard. You're at and here you're at shell limestone. So looks like this, okay? So this is shell limestone of the Besigheim Womberg, and these are very, very, very steep terrace. Okay, so this is the bottom vineyard, and if you're going one step up, then you would go to the gypsum soil. So this is actually where most of the Pinot Blanc is coming from, and also the Chichi Schuppen. And then you can go up, and then you have the reed sandstone. This is actually exactly what I'm drinking now. So this is the Steingrüben. So the Schilfsandstein, it's always a little bit more stony, as you can see. And it's also, well, one sec. It always gives a completely different length. So it's this vineyard again, this soil again. It's a very stony vineyard. And then at the very last, you go to this is the Steingrube, you go to the colored marl. So this is a very reddish soil with much iron in it. And this is for example, our Grand Cru. Yeah, well, it's not the perfect situation, but this is the Fosberg. I think you have it as well in your portfolio, right?
yes.
You have actually so it really looks like Courtauld, it's just better. And it's actually the 2015 vintage that you have. It's an amazing one. It's probably one of the best Fosberg I ever had made so far, but I'm still practicing. So, but this is a really good one.
You can improve. So, question, domande, curiosità? Niente. So, nothing. A lot of shining people. I finished the Merlot.
Mhm.
Okay,
I already finished
awesome.
it?
Yeah, but it opens. The more air it gets.
Yes, unfortunately
It
it's
opens.
open. We must finish it.
Yeah.
You're very welcome.
So, niente. We just say the...
Further question? Anything you want to know? Anything you want to ask for those who just connect? Otherwise, we
This is the first
set you free.
the first Wednesday that we made a connection, not in Italian. So maybe
Okay.
somebody didn't expect it. You are the first one in English or in German.
Okay.
It's English. It's English.
You speak German?
No, I don't.
No? Okay.
No. If you would know German, you would know that I don't speak German.
But you can
say
write German,
something
so that's fair
German
enough as well.
sounding.
Gramlo in German.
Yes, it's German Gramlo. It's a German sounding language I invent every time I speak to him.
Ok, Christian, grazie.
Prego.
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 He is also intelligent.
Was a big pleasure to see you guys.
And
And
we will
thanks
talk
for the
in next
invitation.
days.
Definitely. And stay safe and stay healthy.
You too.
Thank you.
Take care.
You're welcome.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Thanks a lot.
Grazie.
Cheers.
Ciao.
Ciao. Bene, questo è quanto.
Eccoci qua. Allora,
Sì,
è qua-
figo in tutto e
ecco.
per tutto. Sì.
l'ora è quasi andata, vedo commenti molto pertinenti sulla qualità del vino.
Vabbè, ma guarda che cioè, il grande vino lo fa il grande vignaiolo. Ho ragione o sono nel giusto? Leider, Uwe, deine...
È in germanico, no?
Unfortunately, we are reading your question now, but I think I can copy and paste your question to Christian and get an answer for you. I'm still struggling to understand the question.
Württemberg.
Hai avuto... è interessante. Uwe chiede se ha avuto problemi con l'acidità, perché l'altro anno era stato tanto caldo. Voleva sapere se anche loro avevano avuto problemi di acidità. I don't know. We will ask and somehow let you know.
Bene, grazie. Mi dispiace per la tua connessione, Cosima, e noi ci vediamo mercoledì.
Sì, con l'ospite del mistero.
Si parlerà di Austria.
Ah, no, è vero, ce l'abbiamo l'ospite di mercoledì. Ok.
Bene, grazie, buona
A
serata.
mercoledì con l'Austria. Buona serata, ti ho parlato addosso. 6 anni di teatro per parlarti addosso.
Buon proseguimento. Ciao.
Ciao, grazie.
Ciao.
Ora lo dobbiamo